Right now, it's time for us to turn our attention to the About Us page. And the first thing there is really all about our visitors' needs. So as you can see, we've got three key areas that we need to concentrate on there. We can have a look at the template. And then if we have a look at what I did on my site, you can have a look and you can see how I've actually gone ahead and adapted the template to something that actually suits me and my particular business. So let's go and have a look at what that's all about. Now, the About Us page is quite an interesting page because although it says About Us, the irony is that it's not really about us. Well, some of it's about us, but really it's all about them. And if you actually look at the statistics on most sites, the About Us page is actually the second most visited page that you find on most sites. And there's a very, very good reason for that. And in fact, I would say that if most people didn't go to your homepage by default when they typed in the URL, you'd probably find the About Us page was probably the most trafficked page. And I guess it's really simple because your visitors get there and they want to know, well, what is this business about? Now, when they say, what is this business about? They're not asking about you. They're actually asking about, well, how does this business help me? Am I in the right place? Can this particular site, can this business actually help me? So it's really all about them because they don't really care much about us. And you'll see just now as we go through the page, we talk a little bit about us, but really only right at the bottom after they've actually got a sense of what's in it for them before they worry about who we are. And in fact, the only reason we tell them a little bit about ourselves is just to build a little bit of credibility and just to give them that opportunity to start bonding with us. So the two very, very important elements that you'll see in this page are social proof. Now, we spoke about that before in the homepage videos, and also the call to action. Now, the call to action obviously is, again, as we've said time and time again, is to get them to part with that email address. So they're either going to opt into our list because we're going to give them something for free, or we're going to tell them what they've got to do to progress in the journey with us. What's the next step that they've got to do business with us? So let's have a look at the three key areas. So the first one is the compelling headline. So we've seen that many, many times. Again, a compelling image and then a headline. So we're going to write that headline, again, that speaks directly to your visitors' needs and wants. Because remember, they're saying, well, what is this all about? Am I in the right place? So we've got to go ahead and we've got to tell them that. Now, the body copy can be quite a number of things. So you're not really just stuck to one thing, but I'm going to give you some clues here as to the sort of stuff that you would put in there that would give your visitor a clue as to whether they're in the right place. So the first thing you want to do is you want to address their priorities, okay? Even though it's about us, it's not about us, it's actually about them. So what is it they care about? And we've already touched on it. What are their problems, their frustrations, their fears? And of course, what are their dreams and their aspirations? Then the next thing is, why are they on your site? That's the question they're asking themselves. Why am I here? So you have to tell them very, very quickly, well, what is it that you can do for them? What can you offer them? Okay, and what do they need to do in order for you to actually give them what you're promising to give them? And of course, if you've got a blog, and you should have a blog, and of course we've built one into the site for you, tell them a little bit about that blog. Talk about the type of content that you're going to put on that blog. And also very important, tell them how often you're going to update the content. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to actually send out an email every time I put a new blog post out, because what that does is it gives me a good reason to email people. It's creating another touch point with them, and of course it keeps sending them back to my blog, which sends them back to my website. So that's a really, really key thing that you can do there. And then just pretty much anything else that you feel they really need to know in order to do business with you. So an example could be we've got a membership site, partially free, partially paid, so we would talk a little bit about that. Maybe you've got a podcast, maybe you've got a Facebook group or a forum, or anything else that you think is important for them to understand what it is that you can do for them and what it will be like for them to do business with you. And then, of course, another theme that's playing up over and over, of course, is the strong call to action button. So, of course, it's going to have our call to action color. And again, it's just going to have some sort of benefit-driven headline, right? So if we just have a quick look at it over here, you can see there's just a call to action. And for example, I'm saying here, download the lead magnet, because what are we trying to do? We're trying to get that email address, and it's very, very similar. In my case, I'm asking them to download my regular client blueprint, and you've seen that over and over again. That is the freebie, that's the lead magnet that I'm giving away in order to get them to part with their email address. Now, the next section on the About Us page is the social proof section. We spend quite a bit of time going through social proof in the homepage videos, so if if you need some more information, just go back there and it should give you quite a good refresher. But remember, we said that there are many ways to do it, although over here I've given you the option again to use testimonials. Remember, there's many other options that you can use. What I want to do is I'll just show you what I did over here, so you can see again when we actually go ahead and we look at it. What I've done is I've pulled in a picture. Now on the home page when I showed this to you, I had a couple of testimonials. Here, all I've done is I've put a single testimonial onto this page. So that's another thing you can do. You can have 1, 2, 3, pretty much as many as you want. This one had quite a lot to it. It had a little bit more of a message, so it made sense for me simply to pull this one single testimonial onto the page. So let's just run through this very quickly again. As I said, you can go back to the earlier video on the home page, but just for brevity's sake, we'll run through this. Again, remember what we're trying to do here is we're trying to build trust. So when people see social proof, they say, well, if it's good enough for others, it's going to be good enough for me. Testimonials are a great way to do it. But if you don't have testimonials, don't worry. Go ahead, put in logos of clients you've worked with, logos of sites that you've been published on, any other awards you've received, or anything else that you can pretty much think of. And again, the testimonials hopefully will be on the page, and they're going to do all sorts of things like overcome objections, show the results that you've got for other clients, and that's obviously going to be very specific to your business. And if you really want extra points, try to make those results specific and measurable. And then just to show you down here, in case you don't have testimonials, just do a little bit of a brainstorm and try and work out what else you can use. Again, logos of clients, logos of sites you've been published on, any awards, have you written a book, what sort of qualifications do you have, how long have you been in the industry, anything along those lines will help you to build social proof. Right, it's finally the time for you to actually talk about yourself. Well, as you can see there, I say it's about you, sort of. And I'll just show you very quickly, and I'm going to show you on the computer because I know this hasn't come out particularly clearly, so I'll actually show you on the site in a moment, and I'll actually walk you through how I've actually created my version of this. This is my personal story because I think that this is probably the most difficult section of everything that you're going to actually have to do. So let's just talk a little bit about it, and then I'll set the scene and I'll walk you through mine as a practical example for something that you can emulate and you can follow. So as I say, finally beginning to talk about ourselves. And when I say talk about ourselves or the company, now remember, it's always people selling to people. So if you are a sole practitioner or you've got 1 or 2 partners, obviously you want to talk a lot about yourself. And even if you do talk about the company, sometimes it's really good to have a figurehead in the company that people can relate to and that people can bond with. So this section does a whole bunch of things. So the first thing that it does, it's going to subtly build your authority, and we said that a little bit earlier. And also at the same time, we're wanting to get our visitors to relate to us on a human level. So there's a bonding process that has to happen, and that's why the authority positioning is very subtle. Remember, as I said, people do not buy from companies. This B2B is a lot of hogwash. I do understand if you're in a very corporate environment, there's certain rules and regulations, and then maybe that's more important. But if you're not in that space, and I would hesitate to say that the majority of you that are watching this are probably not in that space, because if you were, you'd probably be spending money in a silly way just because you can on high-priced agencies. So for the bulk of us, just remember it's people to people, so they have to bond with us. They need to know who we are, and really the best way for us to go about doing that is to really tell them our personal story of how we got to the point that we're at the moment where we're ready to help them. And you know, a lot of times, a lot of us actually forget about what it was like when we started. So this is quite hard, because what we have to do is we have to almost transport ourselves back in time and think, gee, what was it like? In other words, these people that we're trying to speak to now, at one point we were them, and we've got to try to remember that point, and we've got to take ourselves back, and we've got to explain that to them, because they're going to look at us and think, well, yes, well, you're the expert, obviously, but can I do it? You know, they need to know that you went through a journey, and they need to follow that journey, and the journey's got to kind of start where they are, right? So what you want to do when you're building up the story is you want to tell them how you started off. And again, this is probably the point where the majority of the people are at this point in time. So if you're new and you've never created a website, that's the position that you might be in. And I've tried to be very cognizant of that as I'm going through this training with you, because if I don't, I'll start speaking to you and I'll think that you understand things, because I'll just assume that you have knowledge, and that's absolutely not the case. The other thing you want to do is you want to tell them about the trials and the tribulations that you went through to get yourself into this position, all right? Because they want to know what it's like. That this is where they bond with you on a human level. And every one of us has got a story, and every one of our stories there was difficulty at some point, and that difficulty is probably what your visitors are going through at the moment. So tell them what that's about, and believe it or not, you want to almost concentrate more on the downs than the ups, because people are in a space where they need your help, and they just want to know that it's okay, that you were once there, and that there's really hope for them. So as we build up the story, here's some of the things that you'll put into that story. Talk about the challenges and the conflicts that you had to overcome. Again, most of us have got a story that have those in them. Tell them why you're actually passionate about doing what you're doing. And honestly, if you're not, you probably shouldn't be in the business. So I'm hoping that you are, and you need to get that information across to people so that they understand where you come from. Also, go ahead and tell them why your solution is different to the solutions that your competitors offer. And in many cases, that differentiation will just be because they relate to you as a person. Because, hey, none of us have got anything new. We all sell something that everybody else sells. So what often determines whether we sell the product or the service to somebody as opposed to somebody else is whether our visitors and our clients and our prospects actually relate to us on a human level. Tell them how long you've been in the business, and of course another good thing is to try to give them results. So tell them how many people you've helped, the sort of results that they've got, and obviously that's going to be dependent on the type of business that you've got. And then just include anything else that you think might help you to build credibility and trust. So for example, I'm a published author, so I could put that down. I'm a product creator. If you are a professor, if you have a particular title, whatever that happens to be, pull all of that information in just to help people to actually relate to you a little bit better. And just make sure that your story actually tells them who you help, all right, what you do, and how you help them. So even though you're telling the story and it's got all of these facets to it, that's really what they want to get out of it at the end of the day. They want to know that they are in the right place. And of course, if you can, it always helps to dramatize things with pictures. So put images of yourself, put images of your key team members. And again, the image doesn't have to be some stuck-up corporate-y thing. It could actually be an image of you doing something interesting. So off the top of my head, I like to do a little bit of magic for my kids every now and again. So I could have a picture of me with my magician's cape and my magician's hat doing a magic trick. And that would be an interesting image, and that would start to humanize me a little bit more than just that guy that writes books and teaches people how to build websites. So what I want to do now is let me actually take you through to have a look at how I actually did this so that I can actually walk you through it, because this is, in my opinion, probably one of the more difficult things to do, and I'll show you how I crafted the story. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take you onto the site, because I think that the PDF didn't come out as clearly as the site. So let's have a look at this. So I start off with my big heading, as is usual by now, and I say, what is a marketing accountant? So there's a little bit of intrigue in there. So then I go ahead and I say, hi, I'm James, CEO of Regular Clients. So what am I doing? I'm already setting the scene that this is me. I'm the person that you can talk to. I'm the face, and I'm the CEO. So I'm already subtly starting to build a little bit of credibility. Now I'm thanking them. So I'll say, thank you for visiting my site. And now I'm going to show them that I understand them and I understand what they're going through. So here I say, I know how difficult it can be to get a consistent flow of new clients, especially when you are the service provider. I learned this the hard way. Right, so now I'm about to go into the story. So I've just really set the scene, and now I'm going to take them through that history to why they should be listening to me and why I'm the right person to help them. So I start off and I say, I'm a chartered accountant. Again, what am I doing? I'm building a little bit of credibility. Now, just for those of you that don't know, I also do a lot of work in the accounting space. So by telling other accountants that I'm a chartered accountant, that really positions me as somebody that is not an issue for them, because they know that I know exactly what's going on in their minds. So I say I'm a chartered accountant who used to be a partner at an auditing firm. Now, again, that's important for my market, because not all chartered accountants are the same. Some are in commerce, some are in practice, some are in industry, and my particular market are partners in auditing and accounting firms, so that's important information for them. Then I'll go ahead. Now I'm going to show them the journey that I went through, the struggle, how I got to this point. So we lost a number of key clients during the recession, and I didn't know how to replace them. I didn't draw a salary for 8 months. So in 2011, I was forced to walk away from a profession I devoted 25 years of my life to. So listen, for most people, okay, it's not going to be as bad as that. So remember I said to you, we want to try to illustrate more the downs and the ups. Listen, this is about as bad as it gets. The vast majority of my prospects are going to say, well, if he could do that in that position, then, you know, from where I am, this should be a cakewalk. So I go on to say that I resolved not to be in that position again. I turned my attention to online marketing and did my best to get a handle on it. I studied for 2 years, 12 to 14 hours a day. Things changed so quickly. There was so much to learn and there was so much misinformation. Now, I bet you're sitting in exactly that same position right now. If you're trying to learn internet marketing or online marketing, you know there's too much information, not too little. So again, this is probably resonating with you right now, and it definitely resonates with my particular market. And now I go and I build the story a little bit further. So eventually I took on a mentor who gave me focus and direction. Things started to click, and I managed to get 40 new clients who paid me a consultation fee on my first webinar. Okay, so now what am I doing? I'm showing some results. Okay, so I'm giving some social proof, even though at this point it is my own social proof, but I can back those up. If people ask me, I can actually show them that's exactly what happened. In between the coaching and consulting, I wrote 3 books. So again, I'm starting to position myself a little bit more on how to market and get clients online. Accounting Clients on Tap proved to be an international #1 bestseller. So anytime that you can claim something like that, it's phenomenal. And again, I'm not being braggadocious about it. I'm just basically stating a fact. So again, it's a very, very subtle way of me actually building my credibility. And then I say 7 years of practical internet marketing experience culminated in the Regular Client Blueprint, a system that gets service providers a minimum of 2 clients a month every month. Okay, so you know my full story. You understand why I'm passionate about it. You know the ups and the downs. You understand the grind that I had to get through. And hopefully you're going to appreciate that I've got a system for you that I'm going to put on the plate because of the last 7 years that I've been through, and I'm going to make it easy for you. And then, of course, there's the call to action. Let's not forget that. So I say, P.S. if you're wondering exactly how we can work together, click here. And in fact, that's going to then take them onto my calendar. And I've got the big button again. Remember, it's in red. That's our call to action button. Download the Regular Client Blueprint, how to get a minimum of 2 new clients a month. So of course, everything here is designed to get information from them. And in particular, in this case, I want to get the email address so that I can start the conversation and continue to market to them. Right, so now it's time to look at what I call our squeeze page. It's not really a squeeze page in the true sense of the word. You'll see that more when I show you the lead generation funnel. But the reason that it's called a squeeze page is that what we're trying to do is we're trying to squeeze, if you like, their email address out of them. So you can see here, again, we've got sort of 3 elements to this. And you'll see these elements playing out over and over. We just represent them in different ways. So you can see the 3 elements, and you can see the example that I've created below that. So let me run through it, and you'll see how you can go ahead and you can adapt it for your own particular lead magnet. So of course the lead magnet here is the free thing that we give them in order to get their email address. Obviously, once we've got their email address, we can start to send them regular emails, and we can start to actually correspond with them. And this way we build trust, and eventually you will actually end up being able to sell our prospects more of our products and services. So the easiest way to create a lead magnet is to create something really, really simple. So it can just be a little ebook. It can be like a little 2-page checklist. It can be anything that solves their biggest problems, right? So as long as you can create such urgency for them that they feel almost compelled to give you the email address because they want that thing so badly because it's so valuable to them, then you've done a really, really good job with your lead magnet. So the idea is we give them something for free, and in exchange, they're going to actually go ahead and give us their email address. So let's have a look at the 3 elements. So of course, we've got the benefit-driven headline. We've seen that over and over again. We'll pop something in there. And again, we just want to make them some irresistible offer because the headline's job is to draw them in and then to read the rest of the copy so that eventually they decide, yep, we need that thing badly enough, so that we'll give you the email address. Then the next thing is where you actually want to go and sell the benefits. Now, even though you're giving away something for free, remember that you still need to make a serious attempt to sell the benefits, because people don't just give an email address to every single Tom, Dick, and Harry. They really have to be convinced that it's going to be worth their while. And the way we do this is we sell the benefits, okay, not the features. So we'll speak about features and benefits a little bit later on when we look at the funnel itself. But really, features are just facts about your particular product or your lead magnet. But the benefits are what they're going to get out of it when they actually go ahead and download it. So for me, a feature would be that you get a one-page marketing blueprint that can run your entire marketing for your entire business. Well, that's a feature. It's a fact. You download it. It's on one page. You see it. It's a fact. But what's the benefit? Well, the benefit of having it all on one page is that it's very easy to see. Another benefit could be that it's very easy to conceptualize, and it's very easy to know exactly where you've been, and it's very easy then to know exactly where you're going to go. When people actually see it, when I'm selling, another benefit is that subconsciously they figure, well, if he can actually put that on one page, and if he can teach me how to put my business on one page, well, nobody else in the industry is doing it, so I'll have a major competitive advantage. So you can see we are selling the benefits, we're not selling the features of what we're doing. And then of course the last point there is our strong benefit driven call to action. Okay, we've seen that time and time again. We'll of course have our CTA, our call to action button, in our color that we've chosen. In my case it's red, and we again tell them exactly what it is that we want them to do. So if we just have a quick look over here, you'll see mine. I've got an image over there of what it is that they're going to get. Then I've got a headline there, grab the blueprint to get a minimum of 2 new clients per month forever. Now, what I haven't done, which I could have done in this case, is I didn't actually write any benefit copy there. So the benefit is kind of combined in my headline. Okay, so it's get the blueprint to get a minimum of 2 new clients per month forever. But really, if I wanted to, I could actually have gone ahead and I could have sold the benefits a little bit harder. So if you look at the template and what I've got, you can see they're slightly different, but actually it's generally the same information. And as you saw in the earlier videos, it is so easy to literally drag this stuff around and to create any version of it that you want. But as long as you've got those 3 key components, you'll be fine. And for the final piece, we're just going to end off by telling them what to do next. Hopefully by now they've started to get a sense of who we are, and they probably think to themselves, well, what do I do next? How do I actually get the benefit out of this company, or how do I start to work with this person? So what we're going to do is we're going to point them in the right direction. So as you can see, the template's got 3 key pieces, and let's have a look at what those pieces are. So the first, as is usual, is we get a headline telling them what to do next. So again, we have that headline telling them what the next steps are in order to start to build a relationship with you, and what is it that they need to do in order to do business with you. And if we actually just go back and we have a look at what I did there, my headline's very simple. Let's connect. Okay, there's no confusion as to what it is that I want you to do. Now we want to set the context of what we want them to do next. So we need to give them a really good reason to take the next step in doing business with our company. So let's have a look how I did that. I said, so if you feel you need a little bit of guidance, or you're completely overwhelmed and you've got no idea where to start, I'm here to help. If you're in the area, stop by for a cup of coffee. Else, book a spot on my calendar and I'll get you back on track. So what am I trying to do? Of course, I'm trying to get them on the calendar, and you can see the good old CTA button there, the good old red button which says book a slot on my calendar now. So I'm telling them exactly what I want them to do, and that's what they've got to do next so that we can continue the relationship together.